Midterm? What do you mean midterm? What? Oh. Oh, hey, so you want to do like some sort of assessment? Well, let me show you how to set that up on Moodle. Okay, here we go. So here you can see my Moodle page, and if you're looking to do some sort of test like a midterm or something, do be careful because there is always the concern of cheating. They could have a book in front of them, etc. But there are some things that we can do. For example, we can time the test so that they have a very specific time limit, so that can discourage cheating or prevent them. Okay, so I'll show you that. First thing we want to do is click here and add an activity. And in Moodle, you can see there is the quiz activity. Okay, once we add that, we can give a name to it. So for example, CS midterm. Okay, and in here is where you'll be governing how this thing is timed. Now, the very simplest way is just to enable the time limit. So what this means is, if you leave all these disabled, is that the student can start this quiz or test or whatever it's intended to be at any time they want, as long as the activity is visible. So they go in, they start, but as soon as they start it, they have exactly 75 minutes, for example. Okay, so as soon as they start taking the test, they'll get in the corner of their screen a countdown of 75 minutes. And what happens is when that 75-minute expires, you can control it. For example, what I often do is open attempts are automatically submitted. So what happens is that the quiz will actually close down and it automatically gets submitted. Nothing gets lost. So that's what I often do. You may be a little bit more strict if you want. So when the time expires, the quiz doesn't count or whatever, but I think that's rather harsh. Okay. Other options you have is, what you can do is, if you enable this, and let's say I set a time, so let's say I put it on March 16th or something at exactly 9 o'clock. Okay, and what this means is that the student can see the test on the Moodle page, but when they try to open it, what it'll say is this quiz is not yet available. It will be available at 9 o'clock, March 16th. Okay, so that kind of avoids people coming in and looking at the test ahead of time or starting the test when you don't want them to. So if you want an exact time for students to take tests, that might be an option. And the same thing goes for this. So if you want that test to students to only be able to take that test during a certain time, for example, from the 16th, from 9 o'clock until 12 o'clock. Okay, what happens at 12 o'clock is that's the cutoff point, regardless of the 75 minutes. As soon as 12 o'clock hits, things get submitted. Okay, so be a little bit careful with that. Also, they won't be able to open it after 12 o'clock either. It just won't be available. Okay, so remember that cutoff point, the quiz will close, and the time limit. All right, so I hope that was helpful. Let's see if there's any other options that might be important. All right, the attempts allowed. You don't want them to have unlimited attempts. Usually for a test or a quiz, I give them one attempt at that quiz. So it's not like they can submit it and then kind of restart it and submit it again. So make sure you put that as a limit of 1. Okay, question behaviors. Sometimes you want your, so if you have multiple choice questions, this will shuffle between your A, B's, and C's. So A on one student's test will not necessarily be A on another. This is usually useful if you're doing a test in the same classroom, but might not be useful if people are in different places. So that's up to you. Review options. Yeah, this is important. I would take off all these so they can't look at, well, I guess if you want them to look at their marks right away. This is for auto grading. So some quizzes are auto graded, so students can actually see their grades as soon as they take it. I usually take all these off so that students cannot see what mark they get. They cannot look at their test again after it's submitted. So my suggestion is just to uncheck all of those. Okay, other options. I think those should be the most important ones. All right. So there you have it. Now you know how to set up a quiz.